Yes, and a very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. Sunday morning, 29th day of September 2019. First up this morning, Ricky Periag. He's the winner. I don't think he's won before, but he's the first to log on this morning on the Facebook platform. Thank you so much and welcome. He's just beaten out Mr. Peter Bishop. Good morning, Ricky and Peter. Folks, good morning. Gonna be a good day, gonna be a good day. And we're delighted that you were able to find some time to join us. We certainly hope we can make it through the full 3 hours. And I say 3 hours because I'm hoping that we'll pull the curtain down at 12 noon today. But just in case we don't, we hope you can spend an extra few minutes with us, okay? Now, in case you have to be in and out this morning and aren't able to watch the whole program, what you can do is go back later on today. It's going to be up there on Facebook shortly after we pull the plug here at noon or whenever. And also up on the YouTube platform. And by the way, when you go to the YouTube platform, just remember you can subscribe so that anytime we have any of these programs coming up, you will be notified. All right, how about that? Let's get into today's rundown. Yes, sirree. Where is this little guy? There is this little guy. Can't go anywhere without him. That's my teleprompter. And as I'm trying to find the little guy, I see Sean. Sean is out there in the Azores, and folks, I want you to keep your thoughts with on Sean today, because there's a hurricane out there that's heading for the Azores. This thing started coming across the Atlantic and then hung a right, and now, believe it or not, it's actually heading up to the Azores. It's just a little over 1,000 miles away from them, but. We'll keep you in our prayers, Sean. We'll keep you in our prayers. We know how concerned you were about us here in the Caribbean, and I think that the least we can do is reciprocate. Thank you so much for loving us here in the Caribbean the way you do. We love you too. Ryan Jabon saying good morning and sending his blessings, and Margaret is wishing you all a happy Sunday. Glenn Andrew Mark is saying good morning, and Claude Pudna is also saying good morning, good morning. Yes, Claude is saying good morning, and he's wishing you guys a pleasant Sunday. That's it so far. So let's get down to brass tacks. We have the buzz coming your way with a reading from the Holy Scriptures, and have to tell you right off the bat, little Angel has asked to be excused this week. She's not going to be with us this week, okay? We're going to miss you, little Angel. Certainly hope you have a great day. As far as editorials are concerned, as always, we do have two for you. The one from the Grenada Advocate, which is captioned, Face of Charity Evolving. Find out what that's about in just a wee bit. And the New Today is captioned, Not Fit for Public Office. That's about the fake doctorate. Oh yeah, I told you it was going to be an interesting morning. And then we also, there are there are four other stories that I'm going to run by you this morning. Two of them are already on the rundown. You've probably seen them. One is captioned, LASAGESSE Hotel Developer Locked in Court. Huh? What's that about? And the other one, Freedom of Press at the Crossroads. Yeah? Yeah. I'm going to explain those to you in just a short while, okay? Today, we have two features. They are both excerpts from this past week's editions of Good Day, Grenada. Every Thursday morning, we have a gentleman by the name of Mr. ALLAN BIERZYNSKI. who always makes your ears perk up. And I decided to run his piece this morning because he touched on a number of different issues which are in the forefront, not just here in Grenada, but globally as well, including things like interpreting facts. Internationally, he touched on Greta Thunberg and climate change. And then, in addition to that, he talked about the tin pot dictators. Have you ever heard that term before? The tin pot dictators? Well, you're going to hear about them this morning, believe me. Yeah, interesting stuff. And then we're also going to bring you the piece, the conversation which I had with Mr. Brian Pitt when we made what John likes to describe as our pit stop on Friday morning. Brian talks about how it seems like everything in Grenada today is politicized. Yeah? You're probably aware of that. We also talked about the fact that, some time ago, I think it was in June or July, the opposition in Grenada wrote to the Governor General asking her to launch an investigation into, what is it, Cellgate or cell phone gate. And never received an acknowledgement of that letter. Those of you who follow the news probably heard that this past week, India has decided to give $1 million each to each of the CARICOM member states. And the question is being asked, is India seeking friendships? Hear what Allan had to say about that. And not Allan, I beg your pardon, Brian. And he's also going to touch on the fake doctorate. Yeah, that one's big time in social media these days. Really, really big time. So there you have it. That's your rundown for the 29th of September, 2019. Just let me scroll here. Okay, yeah, looking good, guy, looking good. Back now to social media. Who else is there? Claude Putner, say good morning and wishing a pleasant Sunday to you all. Fitzroy Adams is watching from a cool Brooklyn. Hey, autumn's on the way. Have the leaves started changing? Some time ago we did Ride Along Live with Junior George. I did one of his programs a few weeks ago, and he's always in his automobile. I think it's an SUV with a sunroof, no less. And as I sat here watching him on my monitor here, you could see the trees outside, and it seemed like some of the leaves were already changing, and that was probably about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Certainly hope you guys have a great autumn. Great autumn. Bernard Gilbert saying good morning to you guys. Isaac is, he's having rain in London, Isaac. Oh, you're in London right now. Okay. Isaac Opie. Joseph. Arthur Langine saying happy Sunday morning to you folks from a beautiful New York. Yeah. I guess you and Margaret are enjoying your Sunday morning in New York. Isaac says, are you growing a mustache? Are you growing a mustache, George? Yeah. Isaac, I decided to toy around with that again. I usually, every once in a while, I grow one, and after a couple of days, I say, nah, take it off. Let's see how long this one lasts. But you noticed, very curious guy. Jackie Oak saying good morning, happy Sunday, and happy National Coffee Day. Is today Coffee Day? You had to remind me, look, I came in here this morning without my coffee mug. Can you believe that? First opportunity I get, which will be when I run one of the video files that we have here for you this morning. I'll go get my cup of coffee, but I hope I can hang on without it for that long. Spice Babes Duncan is watching from an overcast, rainy Guave. You know, Spice Babes? I can understand why you guys are having an overcast up there. Down here, it's not overcast. There are patches of blue up there, but we do have a lot of cloud hanging overhead this morning. Actually, we also had a light shower about an hour or so ago. John Nosynek is saying good morning to you guys, the class of 2019. Good morning, John. Kipling Francis is saying, all God's blessings to all on this lovely Sunday morning. A note of concern, sign of times are fast approaching. Lies and more lies are dominating the minds of the ungodly in the hope of controlling the minds of everyone. Pay attention. Okay. Ryan Jaban says, question mark, $23,000 delinquent Republic Bank judgment. Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to have time to deal with it this morning, Ryan, but yes. Looks like Mr. Sheldon Scott is in more hot water. In addition to the $70,000 plus phone bill or data bill, which he ran up some time ago, now he is indebted to the Republic Bank for $23,000. Oh, guy, he's having a heck of a time. Alana Morris Fantasso says, good morning, George. Do you know the state of Tobago regarding the flooding? I don't know. I have not followed it since Karen went by, but I'll tell you, boy, I remember taking note of the fact that Tobago really got plummeted. Boy, they got beat up by that storm. There was an awful lot of flooding. It was pathetic to watch. She goes on to say, video on social media looked real terrible. Yes, it did, especially in Plymouth, where Mom is from. Okay, I hope your mom's okay, Alana. I can't seem to find broadcasts from Tobago online, only Trinidad. Any listeners know of Tobago broadcast? Thank you. Well, I'll tell you what, if you guys know of any videos or any channels or whatever that she should be checking into, stick it up there on Facebook and she'll be happy, I'm sure. John Nosynek is asking, what does India want for the $1 million? You know, we didn't get too deeply into that, but let me tell you, like, as was pointed out in the piece you're going to see this morning, nothing's for free, eh? Nothing's for free. And have you ever wondered why a lot of these countries give and give to little developing states such as ours, and we don't really have a whole lot to give back to them, eh? Don't we? These folks need us to cast our votes in their favor when big issues come up on a global scale, like at the United Nations, for example. I give you X number of dollars. When I have a matter before the UN or wherever, you're going to vote for me. Yeah, that's one of the ways it works. Lydia James is saying good morning, and Margaret says, yay, George, fall is here. Wouldn't know it, though. Still hitting some 80s temps on some days. Yeah, I did hear that you guys are having some nice warm temperatures. Well, I don't know if you consider them nice, but down here, it ain't nice. It's hot. Hot, hot, hot. Ryan Jaban says, he noticed the fuzz over my top lip. Leave my fuzz alone, Ryan. You're just jealous. fuzz doesn't grow on glass. Anthea says, morning, popping in only for a few time to go back to Decatur. Oh, actually, yeah, Anthea's on the road. I don't remember. I think she was somewhere in the Caribbean, actually. Was it St. Croix or somewhere? So she's getting ready to head back up to Decatur. Michael Alexander is saying, good morning, Professor. Looking forward to a wonderful class. Boy, no more than I am. Really looking forward to this morning. Jackie O says, I need my coffee to keep up with the happenings in Washington, D.C. Yeah. Yeah, ask Mr. Trump to send over some coffee to you. John Nosienek says, don't have sympathy for Mr. Scott. It's self-inflicted. A lot of people feel that way. A lot of people feel that way. Especially the way the Grenadian people have been treated over everything that's been going on. We'll see what the government has to say about this, if anything. Patsy Evans says, Keith Mitchell paying that. I don't know, but I don't know that Mr. Scott is financially well off. He may be, I don't know. But $70,000 for Cellgate, $23,000 to Republic Mag. If my math serves me correctly, that's 93,000 bucks. A lot of money, boy. I'll probably never see that in a lifetime. Peter Belafonte is saying, hello, George. Morning from my house to your studio online. Hey, Pedro, nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining. And there she is, Agatha Jordan. Hello there, Agatha. You know, this is one, I can't say that I've met this lady. I won't dare say that I've never met her. But I do see her a lot on Facebook. And very often, pictures of her family. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you ever have a chance to like her page, do so. A very loving, loving family. Handsome family. Good morning, Aggie. John says, exactly so, Gigi. Japan only helps. So we vote for their whale killing abuse. Well, there you go, John. You know what I'm talking about. They give you money, but like I said, nothing's for free. Nothing. You have to vote. Sometimes maybe against your conscience, but you have to vote because you got some moolah. Not everybody is willing to compromise, but I think here in the Caribbean, because of greed for money, yeah, we say, sure, we'll give you our vote. Ryan Jabon says, yep, never sympathize with an unprincipled person. Okay, Ryan, I got the hint. Anthony the Rig says, I wonder how India is able to give anything when there are so many people begging on the streets of Calcutta. Yeah. How come Grenada is able to spend so many dollars for certain things and can't find the money to take care of our healthcare system? Huh? Think about it. Rachel John say, good morning, everyone. Gigi got milk. Yeah. I'm gonna go get my coffee in a little while. Agatha Jordan says, long time I haven't connected. Nice to be back. Well, it's nice to have you back, Agatha. Manel Toussaint Green saying good morning to you guys. And Chester Simons also saying a happy Sunday. Arthur Langine says, my brother, I'm wondering the same thing. I'm not sure what she's referring to, but yeah, Arthur. John says, Patsy Evans, no, you will pay out of your taxes. Arthur Langine says, at the same time, Grenada could do damn well with that money. Yeah, boy. It's just a matter of priorities, isn't it? You know, there's certain things that are so desperately in need of funding and, you know, financing. And you find the people who are involved in these projects are squinting around trying to find a penny halfpenny there and a penny halfpenny there. And then you turn to the left and you see all sorts of money being squandered. You go to them and ask them, well, you know, give me penny halfpenny. Nah, they don't have money, but they have money for the things they want to do. Yeah, that's life, my dear friends, that's life. Ernesto says, good morning, Principal G and the Sunday families. Better late than never. I heard my boy Sheldon Scott back in the news again with money issues once more. Yeah, that's what we're talking about this morning, Ernesto. Yeah. Peter Belfont says, she is my friend and I admire this as well. I guess he's referring to Agatha. Yeah, Peter? And Agatha says, thanks, George, for that wonderful compliment. Yes, Agatha, you're truly deserving of it, my dear. Kipling says, what God bless, no man can curse. Before feeling sorry for someone, it would be good to know if his downfall is retribution. I've heard that as well, Kipling. I've heard that. I have heard that. But I am no one's judge. Okay? Peter says, you remember the Michael Batiste saga with Keith Mitchell? I followed that court hearing in Grenville for at least 6 months. Then it died as Jack Robinson's fire. Author says, Bro George, I can see my PM taking that money with ease. Yeah, of course he welcomed that money. Who would say no to $1,000? Ken Charles is saying good morning to the class. And Peter Belfont comes back and says, would the FIU intervene in a corrupt fiscal space country? I think you know better than to ask that, Peter. Jackie O says, priorities. Some spend their money on false hair to look pretty. Others spend money on their education to make their paycheck look pretty. Yeah, something like that. And Peter Belfont says, Kipling is correct. Yeah. Okay, folks. Yeah. There you have it. That's our little intro on this Sunday morning. Taking us now to 23 and a half minutes after 9 o'clock. A lot of stuff going on here this morning, so let's take a first little break, and we'll come back and start kicking some butt after this.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and the Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Alrighty, folks, it's now 25 and a half after the hour. Something I forgot to mention. And this is just a tease, okay? It depends on how busy you keep me here this morning. I do have a little piece which I hope to run at the end of the program, which is intended to bring a smile to your face. For the past few weeks, I've, on occasion, been running some pieces called What You Know. Young Trinidadian comedian by the name of Daniel Loveless. This guy just breaks people up, and you guys had a riot with him the last time I ran piece. So I'm not sure I'm gonna have the time to run it yet, but I did program a piece, got it last night, and we'll probably run that by you a little later on. Now, let's get into this week's edition of The Buzz, and as always, we begin with an opening passage from the Holy Scriptures. You ready? And by the way, I hope you do pay attention to these passages that we share with you that are probably, as far as I'm concerned, the most important part of our programs. And that's why we begin and end with them. This morning, we begin with a reading from Jeremiah chapter 1, verses 17, 18, and 19. Get yourself ready. Stand up and say to them, whatever I command you. Do not be terrified by them, or I will terrify you before them. Today, I have made you a fortified city, an iron pillar, and a bronze wall to stand against the whole land, against the kings of Judah, its officials, its priests, and the people of the land. They will fight against you, but will not overcome you. For I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord. Hope you're feeling stronger after having heard that. And just in case you want to go back and check it out yourself, Jeremiah chapter 1, 17, 18, and 19. All right? And so that's our opening scripture this morning. As I mentioned, we do not have a contribution from Little Angel this morning. So just let me get back here to social media. Patricia Wilson says, Sheldon, a little humility goes a long way. Patricia, good advice. You think that advice is going to be adhered to? Let's see. Let's see. And John Nosy Neck says, breaking news. Grenadian Lewis Hamilton wins the Russian Grand Prix. Well, congratulations, Lewis. You know, I bet my brother, who is an enormous fan of Lewis Hamilton, he's in Toronto, and I bet that makes him pretty happy. I'm sure I'm going to be receiving a phone call later on today after the program. Big, big fan. I mean, this guy keeps sending me video after video after video. Every time, if Lewis Hamilton sneezes, you get a video. Rachel John says, who cares? He's collecting money that should be for Grenadians. What is he doing for Grenada? He's referring to Sheldon Scott. Yeah. All right. 9:30 on the button, Pilgrims. Quick break, then we'll come back with the first of our editorials, which comes to you from, boy, do I have a lot of reading to do this morning, a lot of reading. So let's take a break and come back and get started.
Hey, what? I just came from the land and this sign here caught my eye. What's that sign about?
Someone must have asked GRENLEC to move a pole. But you know, there's no space reserved on the side of the road for planting poles. So GRENLEC has to get permission from landowners, and that can take a lot of time.
Oh, GRENLEC asked me to help them contact my neighbor Ben about planting a pole on his land. But Ben passed away. His children own the land, but they all live abroad.
That's why GRENLEC needs customers to inform them in writing at least 3 months in advance.
3 months? All that?
It seems like a lot, but think about the time it will take for GRENLEC to find and get permission from all of Ben's children. And sometimes moving one pole requires you to move the pole before, the one after, plus the wires that support them on the ground. That means even more landowners to find and get permission from. Then GRENLEC needs to schedule their teams and notify customers about any power outages.
Well, I need the pole on the farm moved, so I'm going to write GRENLEC a letter now.
GRENLEC, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, let's get into the first of our editorials, which comes to you from the Grenada Advocate. This was published this past Wednesday. It is captioned, Face of Charity Evolving. It is heartening to see the spirit of goodwill and charity that perseveres and shines through frequently in our Caribbean societies, in particular with respect to corporate donations and public responses to appeals. The month of September recognizes the International Day of Charity, where people are encouraged to be charitable and promote similar actions through education and public awareness-raising activities. However, a charitable effort should be a daily occurrence for us all, especially in light of the events of the past few weeks, which saw catastrophic weather systems such as Hurricane Dorian impacting on thousands of people in the Bahamas, after sparing several islands during its initial stages. Throughout the years, the face of charity has evolved to include new technology, and social media has become the medium by which people give support, whether financially or through their efforts. Away from the internet and closer to home, though, local nonprofit organizations, businesses, and churches come together frequently to present donations of money, food, clothing, toys, school supplies, and technological equipment, for instance, to needy individuals. These have always been welcomed. Still, when one thinks about the concept of charity, money and material possessions are not the only things that can be given. People can give up their time and skills as well. Businesses can show corporate social responsibility by providing assistance through internships, mentorship programs, and eventually job opportunities. Nonprofit organizations can set up programs where volunteers teach skills that can improve the quality of life for someone else. Churches can continue to provide counsel and moral and spiritual guidance, in addition to assisting with food hampers to needy families. And individuals can offer their services through the aforementioned groups or through face-to-face interactions within their communities. Furthermore, the popular adage, charity begins at home, which suggests that one needs to take care of the needs of one's families first, should instead be taken literally, and every individual should treat their family members charitably. This would entail not only giving your time, experience, and material items needed, but will also include exhibiting a kindness and tolerance for other opinions and behavior, and showing mercy. With this type of attitude change within the family unit, and even within wider society, future generations would demonstrate this positive behavior instinctively. As individuals, we are usually concerned with self-development, but we are all also obligated to assist in overall human development because we live in a world with other humans. Therefore, we need to be more charitable to our brothers and neighbors. It is one of the more important teachings of Jesus Christ. And as a Christian society, we need to follow these teachings and support each other. There you have it. That's the editorial which appeared in this past Wednesday's edition of the Grenada Advocate. Oh, Patricia Wilson is asking the question. She says, by the way, does anyone know which day Karani runs in the current IAAF games? You got me there, Patricia. Don't know. If anybody knows, please stick it up there on Facebook. Peter Belfont says, George, we have heard of breaking news, but I call Grenada's version burst up news. The news from Grenada is so disturbing, especially with the country's finances. The government needs to carry out a serious background check to see who was previously employed with glue factories. Glue factories. Okay. I find their fingers are too sticky. Peter. Ernesto says, I hope we, the taxpayers, not paying this $23,000. And by the way, how are Mr. Scott's payments going with the $70,000 in data he owes taxpayers? I think we need to have an update. Yeah, okay. Okay. Not much more I could say about that one, but okay. Break time. And we'll come back with a new today.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put me food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
GRENADA Community Partnership Initiative, supporting health.
To the individuals who will be using these vehicles to serve the people, please ensure while we are using these tools that we use these tools in a manner that we will all be proud of. To GRENADA, a long-standing partner with us, a true testament of what can happen when private and public sector work together for the benefit of the people.
GRENADA, energizing our community.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
All right, I see that we've now been joined by Anthony Howard and Lydia James. Good to see all of you. Let's see here now. Let's get to the editorial which appeared in Friday's edition of The New Today. It is captioned, "Not Fit for Public Office." It is the prerogative of a prime minister under the Westminster parliamentary system of democracy to select each and every person he or she wants to sit in the government of the day. As such, The New Today has no intention of calling on Prime Minister Dr. Mitchell to sack, fire, or dismiss his controversial Minister of State for Information, Senator Winston Garraway, from the current government over recent incidents. Instead, this newspaper sees the issue as one of whether Senator Garraway is a fit and suitable person to hold public office in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, in light of new information surfacing about the fake honorary doctorate that he is knowingly parading with on the national stage. The Prime Minister has the resources at his disposal to launch an immediate investigation to determine whether the honorary doctorate degree conferred on his government minister 3 years ago is real, a fake, or a sham intended by Senator Garraway to boost his own profile among Grenadians. Dr. Mitchell is the lead prime minister within the Caribbean community on science and technology and should be fully equipped to use his own laptop to Google the United Graduates College and Seminary International, UGCSI, a Christian-based online college in the United States, and to get information about its activities. According to the GetEducated.com web portal, UGCSI is affiliated with the Worldwide Accreditation Commission of Christian Educational Institutions, that's WWAC, which it identifies as among the top 40 bodies in the United States offering fake degrees and are not authorized to confer degrees by the United States Department of Education, USDE, or the Council for Higher Education Accreditation, CHEA. Those are the agencies that perform educational accreditation in the United States. As a key player in the Ministry of Information, Senator Garraway had an obligation to do the necessary due diligence on the group that conferred this fake honorary doctorate on him, and to decide whether he should be associated with or refrain from them using his good name to advance their cause. He had a duty to inform or disclose to the nation the credentials of these people, giving him a degree, which he is now parading as a public figure and badge of honor as a government minister. It is significant that not one single government minister in the NNP administration accompanied Senator Garraway to the ceremony that was held in Moulin Rouge back in 2016 to accept this clearly bogus doctorate. Senator Garraway is a man of the cloth as a pastor and is very versed in the Bible, especially the scripture verse, Matthew 7, verses 15 and 16. And I quote, "Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes or figs from thistles?" Unquote. Also, John chapter 10 says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep." Senator Garraway ought to know that there is a particular, real, and honest road to walk to get a credible doctorate that can stand up to the test of time. It is quite obvious to us at the New today that Senator Garraway was prepared to use this fake doctorate for personal advancement. The ball is now in the hands of PM Mitchell to make a determination as to whether his junior minister should still be holding public office in this country, since knowingly accepting this kind of fake degree is sending a bad signal to the student population in Grenada that they do not need to work hard at school anymore to fill their homes with trophies and treasures. The New today is also aware of a number of persons parading in Grenada with quack doctorates, especially a few who were attached to the island's premier tertiary institution, T.A. Marichaud Community College. The powers that be have failed us in not calling on these persons with fake doctorates to prove the authenticity of their degrees. The current Prime Minister, as the holder of a doctorate, should know that anyone with a real doctorate has to defend his or her thesis before a panel of recognized universities. The quacks who have been parading up and down this country with false doctorates have been given total freedom to continue to masquerade with their so-called doctorates. And in some cases, being paid high salaries at the expense of our taxpayers. The Prime Minister should also pay particular attention to the unfortunate situation in so many of our schools that have started this new school year at the beginning of September without their full allotment of teachers. The Ministry of Education under Emmeline Pear's leadership has once again failed us. The ministry had 3 months during the long summer vacation to address the issue and to make sure that teachers were identified to fill all those vacancies in our schools. Some of the principals have been forced to abandon their office work and take to the classroom to teach students in order to avoid them having nothing to do for weeks due to the shortage of teachers in many schools. The current Minister of Education has been on the job for a long time now and should be fully aware that an interview and selection process ought to take place during the summer vacation to find new teachers to replace those who did exit at this time of the year. The Public Service Commission should also have knowledge of or an idea of the vacancies that needed to be filled as a matter of urgency in our school system. Prime Minister Mitchell has got it right when he said that the system has broken down. However, the issue is, what has he done as a leader of this country for over 20 years to fix this problem? Okie dokie. That's the editorial which appeared in Friday's edition of the New Today. Boy, I tell you, we're going to read you a couple more stories from Friday's edition of the New Today. They had a lot of hot stuff in there this week, a lot of interesting stuff, and I think you're going to be interested in the stuff that you're going to be hearing just a wee bit. Plus, in addition to that, I got a couple of videos that I want to show you before we get to our features today. So, let me see here now. You know I can't leave you guys out, right? Let me scroll back here. Oh boy, you guys are so busy. Okay, all right. Peter Belfont says, I'm looking into the future with all this scandal hitting the government. I want to see if 15 seats will be taken in the next general election. And it does, then, please guys, please hear me, please. Take your time, think about what you want to say, and then hit the keyboard. I'm going to try reading this again. I'm looking into the future with all this scandal hitting the government. I want to see if 15 seats will be taken in the next general election. And it does, then the assumption becomes legal. Moving right along, Ernesto says, Gigi, I heard NADMA released the shelters finally. Don't know. Can someone confirm? Please help me out. Well, yes, Ernesto, I think it was, oh boy. This week I did mention on the air that the day after I had sent another email to them, yes, they finally did send me a list of the shelters, which one, I published on the GRENADABROADCAST.com website, and two, I actually read on one of the Good Day programs this past week. So yes, as we get well into the second half of the 2019 hurricane season, at last, the shelters, the list of shelters is out. John Nosinek says, just asking, are the PM's degrees doctorates? I would assume so. Ernesto says, nothing passes Garraway, another newsmaker. Peter Belfont says, what? Fake doctorate? Well done, Grenada. You and your dependencies are weighing under an NNP burden that can sink you low if your courage and shoulders are not broad enough. John Nosenek says, a man on the floor. A man on the floor cloth, more like. Funny, John, funny, funny. Ryan Jaban, where is that boy? Where is it? Ryan says, PhD is an expensive degree which one works hard for in academia. Fakes don't cut it. Yeah, absolutely, John. Absolutely, Ryan. John says, did the minister accept it or apply for it? Lydia James is cracking up laughing. Good morning, Mosquito Man. Good to see you. Arthur Langine says, in a blind-eye country, a one-eyed man is a king, including Grenada. I'm hearing it all here this morning. Ryan Jaban says, buffoonery. Oh, yeah. Peter Belfont says, the new today's editorial is a pensive one in light of the issues that have befallen this once Isle of Spice that to me has become the Isle of Spite. Sad. Sherry Wilson is there this morning. Mosquito Man says, Mr. Grant, what do you expect of a government that doesn't seem to care about the health of its people? Throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, we all have seen is only victimization, exploitation, and not forgetting the way in which these people are raping the country of its little resources that it has. Now, I always say, any minister that is in health and is not receiving health care treatment here in his or her country will not see to it that the health care system runs or gets better. And that is what we are seeing every day in this country. But I say to my fellow Grenadians, Carricouans, and Petit Martinicans, please, don't lose hope, for I know you people are strong. Thank you, Mosquito Man. Ryan Jaban says, the paradigm is self-perpetuation, not fixing things. Good morning, Charmaine. How are you? Hey, hello there, Penny. Hello, Penny. Penny Crawley is saying good morning. Haven't seen you in a little while, Penny. Good to see you, girl. Morning, Gigi, your favorite time of the year here in Saint-Sevier. Yeah, Penny lives in a little village up in the Laurentians. Beautiful, beautiful countryside. I can just imagine what the leaves look like. Would you guys give me a weekend off so I can go up there? Or perhaps we can do the program up there. sitting on her patio? Ooh boy, dream on, George. Hazel Ferguson is wishing everybody a happy Sunday. And Isaac says, I suppose he paid from his pocket, if not from taxpayers' money. Okay, folks, that's going to take care of editorials this morning. I see that we've now been joined by Rudy Andrew, Victor Cox, Mr. Sailor, Victor Cox. How are you doing, man? Still sailing a lot? I'm yet to get on that sailboat, Victor. Charles Norma is also there this morning. Just let me scroll back and see some of the folks who are there incognito. Judd Cadet, Bob Marichaux is there, pretty quiet so far. Patricia Wilson, Lindonna Charles, Richard Duncan. Hello, Mr. Duncan. It's so nice. Didn't go to church this morning, Richard? Good to see you, Richard. Alrighty, folks, break time. Yes, sirree, break time. And then we will come back with another story that's probably going to ruffle your feathers just a little bit. Hang in there.
Hey, what? I just came from the land and this sign here caught my eye. What's that sign about?
Someone must have asked GRENADA to move a pole. But you know, there's no space reserved on the side of the road for planting poles. So GRENADA has to get permission from landowners, and that can take a lot of time.
Oh, GRENADA asked me to help them contact my neighbor Ben about planting a pole on his land. But Ben passed away. His children own the land, but they all live abroad.
That's why GRENADA needs customers to inform them in writing at least 3 months in advance.
3 months? All that?
It seems like a lot, but think about the time it will take for GRENADA to find and get permission from all of Ben's children. And sometimes moving one pole requires you to move the pole before, the one after, plus the wires that support them on the ground. That means even more landowners to find and get permission from. Then GRENADA needs to schedule their teams and notify customers about any power outages.
Well, I need the pole on the farm moved, so I'm going to write GRENADA a letter now.
GRENADA, energizing our Grenada.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products, Distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
All right. It's 5 minutes after the hour. Just before I fire up this little piece here for you, Margaret is responding to Mosquito Man. She says, good point, Mosquito Man. However, some medical conditions do not allow patients to be transported, even if they have the means to do so. The Minister of Health and his cohorts would do well to keep that in mind. Mosquito Man says here, Mr. Grant, you speak facts freely, and I applaud you for the work that you are doing, but unfortunately, they are the realities of our lives in these small islands, and very more sadly is the fact that our financial resources are wasted on projects that are unnecessary and not of urgent importance. And in many instances, they are done just to hold party affiliates and supporters close by pleasing them, only with personal favors, while the masses suffer. It's called stupidity, oppression, and Caribbean politics. I hate nonsense for what it's worth. Thank you, Mosquito Man. Ernesto says, it is so saddening listening to you read the news from the papers and how the administration are running the affairs of Grenada. The health crisis, late opening of schools, corruption in government, disrespect of journalists, and the list goes on and on. What next, Grenada? Freedom of speech? Well, Ernesto, you're going to find out in a little bit, because we do have a piece coming up on freedom of speech. Now, folks, just weeks ago, Grenada students returned to their classrooms, some later than others, because of the state of disrepair of some of the schools. And not only that, it is now public knowledge that some of the institutions are understaffed as Grenada's education system continues to be plagued by mismanagement. Just this past week, President of the Grenada Trades Union Council, Andre Lewis, spoke with the Grenada Broadcasting Network about the deplorable state of Bishop's College. Thank you very much, GBN, for carrying that story. Take a look.
They were blindfolded and brought to that location and dropped there. And there was nothing to identify this as a school, a Bishop's College, with no student. I would have concluded that I'm on some deserted island, some abandoned place that suffered some catastrophic disaster, and it is not safe for people to be around there.
According to the union president, while schools do not fall directly under the Trades Union Council, a recent visit to the facility has brought to the fore the need for immediate attention by the Education Ministry. GBN in its follow-through did obtain images of the school's present state, where it can be seen that doors, roofing and other parts of the structure are in need of attention. Andre Lewis described the recent school visit as the most deplorable and depressing experience.
Bishop's College has not been repaired, cannot have been after the devastation caused by Hurricane Ivan. That's 15 years ago. It's one of the most depressing experiences I've had. I stood there and I wonder, what are we doing to our children? What are we doing to our teachers? I do not know how the teachers could function there. I do not know how the children could function there. And I grew up in primary school going out and read on the trees and things, you know what I mean? I grew up in primary school where the classes were separated by a blackboard and there were contending voices and noises, but we survived. But this is not what I'm speaking about. I'm speaking about the deplorable condition of that building. A building that appears to come out of the movies, that where there was some either natural disaster, yes, there was Ivan, but there were some bombs, and a natural disaster that happened 15 years ago.
Our newsroom also reached out to the Education Ministry. Minister Emlyn Pear, via telephone, admitted that the conditions are indeed deplorable. However, several changes to the proposed CDB-funded plan delayed restorations.
When the consultants went back on the ground in recent times, and the school said, we want to add this, we want to add that, we want to expand the size of this, or the ministry said, instead of one lab, give us two. This was costing an additional $1.9 million. That needed clearance from the Caribbean Development Bank. As a matter of fact, we are going with all of those extensions, and the principal was assured of that. Every additional that you requested, we are going to facilitate. It is costing $1.9 million more, but we are going to have to affect another project to facilitate that added expansion that Bishop College so well deserves.
The Education Minister says work should begin on the Bishop's College by year end. Eugenia Peters, GBN News.
Alrighty. It's now, let's see here, 12 and a half minutes after the hour. And let me see what else we have here. All right, not sure what these guys are saying. Folks, Ryan says, Bishop's College has non-repaired obnoxious Hurricane Ivan Moving right along, folks. LASAGESSE hotel developer locked in court battle in New York. That was the caption of an article which appeared this week in the New Today. And I want to share that with you. It's another one of those things that make you go, wow. Court documents filed 2 months ago in New York have accused two of the leading figures behind the soon-to-be-built hotel at LASAGESSE St. David of being engaged in the sale of passports, in violation of U.S. and UN-imposed sanctions against countries listed as supporters of terrorism. The New Today has obtained the court documents that were filed on behalf of Dominica's accredited ambassador to the United Nations, Paolo Zampoli, against Mohammed Asaria, chairman of Range Developments, and his business associate, Kamal Shihada, who have joined forces to build the hotel under funds generated from Grenada's passport selling scheme known as Citizenship by Investment. Okay? The papers were filed in the Supreme Court of New York on July 17th by a Jewish lawyer, Robert, let's see here. Want to make sure that I have his name absolutely correct. Yes, Robert Hantman, who was acting on behalf of Zampoli, who was involved in a Dominica hotel project with both Asaria and Shahada. The document alleges that the men behind the hotel project in LASAGESSE have been selling passports to nationals of Iran, Yemen, and Sudan in violation of sanctions imposed on these countries by the U.S. Treasury Department and the Security Council of the United Nations. All right? No mention was made in the court papers about any of the sold passports belonging to Grenada. However, this newspaper has reported exclusively on another court case in Grenada itself, in which the project developer at Livera, Grenada Citizenship Development Limited, or GCDL, disclosed that it had facilitated the sale of Grenadian passports to persons from Iran, Iraq, Syria, Sudan, and Yemen to raise money for the hotel development project in the north of the island. Brothers Randall and Robert Olson disclosed in court papers lodged at the island's Supreme Court registry that they had raised millions of dollars for the controversial Livera project from about 8 nationals from these rogue states. The Keith Mitchell-led government in St. George's has not publicly denied or admitted that Grenada passports were sold to nationals of these countries, which have been listed by the U.S. State Department as supporters of state-sponsored terrorism. The fallout between Zampoli and both Asaria and Shahada stems from the sharing of profits from the multi-million-dollar Cabri Resort and Spa, Kempinski, in Dominica, which was the first government-approved real estate project on the island under the country's Citizenship by Investment program. According to the court documents lodged in New York, Zampoli is claiming that he was due to collect 5% of the profits under a signed agreement in 2015 for the hotel project, but attempts are being made to deal him out by Asaria, Shahada, and others. He claimed that $30 million from the Dominica Hotel project were taken out from a Bank of Dominica account held in Geneva, Switzerland, and dispersed between Asaria and Shahada. The court papers also allege that, quote, it appears that project funds and personal and other funds have been and are being substantially commingled, unquote, in the bank account for the hotel project. A stinging allegation was made against Asaria and Shahada in the court documents of having a scattered web of foreign accounts and investments, many of which are vehicles for evasion and fraud in jurisdictions widely known to be tax havens where funds disappear without a trace. According to the documents in the New York case, $195 million were raised for the hotel project in Dominica by the Asaria outfit from the sale of 800 family passports that were issued through the Dominica CBI program. The court document identified Range Development of Asaria as the entity that handled all the marketing and sales of the project, and in most cases, collected the sales proceeds and made distributions to the various accounts of the partners involved in the Dominica Hotel project. Zampoli approached the court in New York to obtain a demand order to force Asaria and others, including Shahada, to give him access to the books and records for him to determine the profits in connection with the Dominica Hotel, which is soon to open to the public. Asaria and Shahada are alleging that Zampoli's request for payment of his fees are premature, since he is not entitled to any profit share until the project has been completed and the accounts have been closed. However, the Dominica government ambassador is seeking to move the court in New York to force Range Developments and those associated with the Dominica Hotel project to produce the books, records, financial documents, and accounts, and other files, material to his defense in the London arbitration proceedings. According to the UN ambassador, he needs the information to contest arbitration proceedings in London against Range Developments on the issue of the outstanding money owed to him. The documents obtained by the New Today identified Asaria as the person who led the project in Dominica, as the founder and vice president of Range Development, and was also a signatory to the agreement with Zampoli on the 5% deal. Range Development is now turning its attention to Grenada, and on August 23rd held a groundbreaking ceremony for the sixth census LASAGESSE, which attracted Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell and several senior government ministers, including Member of Parliament for the constituency, CARICOM Affairs Minister Oliver Joseph. Government officials have said that the hotel is scheduled to open in 2022 and will create more than 500 jobs during construction. In an address at the ceremony, Prime Minister Mitchell said, and I quote, "The initiation of this project by Range Development provides a clear demonstration of the confidence of investors in the Grenada economy. The location of the project in St. David illustrates government's commitment to ensuring that development is holistic and is in fact spread across all parts of the country. The coming of the world-renowned Six Senses brand will help to further solidify Grenada's position as a top tourist destination. These three factors combined provide irrefutable proof that this government remains committed to attracting continued investment and creating employment opportunities for the people." That, friends, was a quote from Prime Minister Mitchell. The New Today has not been able to get a reaction from Range Developments to the documents filed against its principal figures in the court in New York. Okay. Scroll back here. You guys are typing a lot this morning. Just hold on, I'm scrolling back. I'm here with you, I haven't gone anywhere. Okay. Margaret says, maybe we can recoup that $70,000 that Sheldon blew by having him put in sweat equity at Bishop's. By having him put in sweat equity at Bishop's College. Okay, Margaret. Yeah. Joycey Smith says, another one in court connected with Grenada again. God help Grenada. Joycey, I know how you feel. I go to bed at night asking, what's next, Lord? What's next? Yeah. Ernesto Jose says, Emmeline Peer, that's all I have to say. The name speaks for itself. John Nozinek is asking, where's the due diligence? I guess he's referring to this incident down at LASAGESSE, in the courts in New York. Fitzroy Adams says, why are these ministers so lying? The minister for Kerry Coos saying one thing and his minister saying something different. Shame on you guys. You guys really think everybody in Grenada dumb. Oh, Fitzroy. Ryan Jaban says, USA is very sensitive to supporters of state-sponsored terrorism, and Grenada has to be vigilant with its passports and CBI. Ryan, I thought that was clearly understood, but apparently not. Once again, Georgie's wrong. John says, Ryan, at this rate, no Grenadians will be able to travel to the United States. You know, folks, there's going to be one hell of a crackdown coming soon. Ernesto says, how these things go unnoticed when the PM spend most of its time in government in New York, where information is at your fingertips. Unbelievable. Peter Belfont says, again, he's talking about this court case in New York, again, let's hope things don't derail or get deranged. Okay. Opie says, we're still waiting for information on the number of times the Liveros site has been sold and who really owns the site. On entering of the site, it is clearly written private property and a chain across the entrance restricting vehicles from entering. Grenadians, take back your lands, which have been illegally sold. Yeah, I know that one's close to your heart, Opie. Renewed Purpose says, is it fair to say that because we do not have an elected opposition, that the interim government should be allowed to do as they please, and that there is no redress, no accountability, and no impeachment? No impeachment for the leader who violates our Constitution. With a number of cases citing violation of our Constitution by our interim government, does it mean that the legal system has failed us, or Grenadians no longer have a conscience? Renewed Purpose, right on, right on. I hope you folks are following closely what's going on in the United States. Yeah. You know, say what you want about the United States. I know a lot of people are very critical of the United States, but I'll tell you one thing. They do hold their people to account. They do hold their people to account. Here, big deal. Kipling says, come to think of it, Grenada is really exceptional. We have a lot of firsts. Whoa. All from the bottom. Yet we boast of greatness. I'm not sure who's boasting. Anyway. All right, pilgrims. Ryan says, remember the fate of Manuel Noriega, Panamanian politician? Yeah. All right, folks. Break time. We're going to come back in just a wee bit. Hang in there.
In our part of the world, we need to be prepared for natural disasters like storms and hurricanes, even outside of the season. I'm sure you'll agree that keeping our loved ones, homes, and businesses safe is important. So, I came up with a few quick tips to help you stay safe. First, make a family disaster plan and ensure that everyone in your household is familiar and comfortable with it. Remember to add batteries and flashlights to your emergency kit. Now, for electrical safety. Familiarize yourself with your electrical panel, as it may be necessary to switch off the power during a storm or flood. Make sure you install a transfer or isolation switch to prevent your generator feeding electricity to Grenlec's line. If trees are too close to power lines, call Grenlec at 237 for advice. By following these easy steps, you will be well on your way to being hurricane ready. Don't be caught off guard by natural disasters. Prepare now. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate, Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair Supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Folks, much of the hype surrounding the devastation in the Bahamas a couple of weeks ago appears to have died down somewhat. But the horror stories continue to emerge. Here's another one of those heartbreaking stories which have permeated the media over the past 2 weeks. Check this out.
Okay, that's what's happened here at Howard Armstrong's residence. Okay, I've come back to look at my house in Freeport here. Our 20 years we've built this. It took me 20 years to get where I'd got here. The water came up so quick. Within a couple of hours, it was up above the windows. We're all freaking out and scared to hell. This is my wife's car over here. Her diesel Mercedes. 1983. We love these cars. We had a couple of them. Oh boy. So that's that on that one. I had my fishing boat was anchored at my mooring that I put in out here where the white jug is in the middle. That's where I swam to out there. Before the hurricane came, we were so worried this tree would fall on the house. So, you know, I tied it to every other tree, but look, it's still there. It's still there. I met my neighbors hanging on the telephone pole out here. As the water went down, they came inside my house. Come up, I'll show you inside the house. Where the nightmare was. There, that stuff has all gone because when that water went out, it sucked everything out of this house and went. The water was up inside the rafters into the roof. The waves were coming in here, and you can see it just smashed everything up. Imagine being in here, and this chair is throwing over there and throwing over there, and you're trying to stop and not get cut by all the glass in your bare feet. I held my wife up forever in here. And finally, when it was getting really, really stupid, I got her up on top of this stove, which used to be right here, which is only 36 inches high. And my wife was only the height of you, so her head was only here, this high. And I was up here like this, with my wife in between me, holding her, and I was telling her, don't lean back, the water's not going to come any higher. And it kept coming up and coming up. I took the cupboards, we had cupboards along here, everything else was gone down there, only the stove was here. And I took the cupboard off and I tried smashing through this heavy sheetrock. She took them off, so she's up here like this, and I left her. And I swam out here underneath the door. You can see all the appliances were hitting here. It was so dangerous in here. I was only out here for seconds. I come back inside, and when I come back inside here, my wife had already fallen off of here, and she's floating on her back with all of this surge and everything. For whatever reason it was. I thought she had drowned. I don't know. Hypothermia. Who knows what the end result was. So at that time, I'm saying to myself, what am I supposed to do now? So I swim out here. And I come out here, the wind is blowing here at 200 miles an hour. So I'm swim out here, but I'm up there. I'm swimming as high as the roof. I'm out here, and I'm holding on to the top of this tree. I let go. I'm swimming over. The waves, it was like you were in the ocean. And I catch the boat, and I got on it. And I spent the night on that boat in all of this 200-mile-an-hour winds. The water was so deep. There's a rope over here. I'm going to show you what saved my boat from going. The next morning, I swam in as the water was going down. At this time, everything was sucked out of the house like the tsunami effect. Oh, it was terrible. It's a nightmare. It's horrible. I had a lot of stuff in this shed here, and that's all gone miles and miles this way across the canal. My wife kept all the records of everything. I saw this before. Every month of the year, she kept a record of something. Every book is from a month. You know, whatever it was in it. Some don't have much. Maybe nothing was happening that month. You know what I'm saying? Telephone numbers. 2nd of August to the 3rd of December, 2004. She kept records forever, my wife. You know, all of this doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I would just like my wife back. God bless you, Lynn. Yeah. And I hope we find her. I hope we find her. Alive? I don't think so. Not after that. God knows why he saved me and not my wife. I don't know why. So, there you got the story, buddy. What can I tell you? You've seen it for yourself.
All righty. All right. Heart-wrenching, isn't it? Ernesto says that he had followed that story, and Peter says, oh boy, it's really a sad story. Viewing this has taken a tug at my heart. And Ryan says, oh my gosh, yeah folks, hard to watch, I know, but I keep showing you guys these videos because, you know, now that the hype has died down, I hope your desire to help in some small way has also not diminished. And I want to remind you, every time you see one of these videos, if you haven't yet put your 2 cents in, you know, nobody's asking you to dig into Mr. Trump's coffers, you know, whatever little bit you have can help. Yeah. All right. It's now, what time is it? It's 10:40. Still got some more stuff to come. More stuff to come. Including 1, 2, 3 videos. 3 videos. Joy C. Smith says, don't they have school caretakers on the premises to see when there is a problem so that it can be dealt with promptly before the building gets to a state of disrepair? Hello, Joy C. That would be the logical thing to do. Why should it be done? I'm being sarcastic, as you're probably well aware. Lydia James says, I can't believe what I just saw. I thought Ivan was bad, but this is horrible. So sad, Lydia. Ivan came over here with a swoosh. Category 3, I understand it. I thought it was 5, but it was Category 3. This storm sat. It just sat, put its fat butt on Abaco for about 40 hours. 40 hours. John says, we sometimes think we're hard done by, but others are worse off than you. Ernesto says, terrible story to listen, and he also lost his wife. He's just one, Ernesto. You know, I think it's going to be a while before the final death toll comes out. But I'll tell you, when it does, it's going to be staggering. I don't know if they will ever know for sure, because I'm sure a lot of people just got washed out to sea. Just washed away. Forget about finding corpses. Gone. Let me say good morning to, let's see here, Hazel Bajinski. Hello there, Ms. Bajinski. Thank you very much for joining us. You better call your husband, tell him that he's going to be up in just a few minutes. We're going to be taking a look at conversation that he and I had this past week. Yes, sir. Once again, he went ballistic. Oh, yes. Sean out there in the Azores is checking in. Good to see you, Sean. Vincent Ignatius Roberts. Hello, Mr. Roberts. Good to see you. Terrence Marichaux. Terrence M. Williamson. Hello, Terry. What an honor having you on board this morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Greetings to you, your dear wife, and kids. And Mr. Ray Roberts is also with us this morning. And Mandu Seals, hello there, Mandu. Looking forward to hitting the road again with you and Ian. Tell Ian to hurry up and get well. Nicole Lindsay is with us. Josephine Blanche is with us. Madonna Harford, Claudette Joseph, hey. And all the Dolores Hazard, Janelle Samuel. These people are, you know, they haven't said anything, but they're there, incognito. All right, folks, break time, and we'll come back with this press freedom issue, which isn't going away. And you got something to look forward to this coming Saturday.
Good morning, GrenLec meter reader.
Morning, Mr. Meterman. I'm glad I caught you. Last month, I got a very high bill, and I don't understand why.
Last month, we were not able to access your meter, so we had to estimate the bill. This will happen if we don't get an actual reading.
So what can I do to ensure that my meter is easily accessible?
Well, you can get your licensed electrician to move your meter outside of the gate or directly in front of the house. That way, I'll have easy access and I won't have to deal with your dog.
Ah, Butch.
Yes, dogs can be a problem sometimes. On one occasion, I was attacked by a dog and police had to get involved. Customers who don't want to cage or tie their dogs should really move their meter and make it easily accessible.
Well, I'll consider that.
Thank you.
GrenLec, energizing our Grenada.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
Alrighty, folks, I'm glad I sat here and read the names of the people who were supposedly incognito. Well, at least one of them has popped up here. Claudette Joseph says, well, we're not incognito anymore, George. Good morning. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. And you keep writing those stories, my dear. Good to see you this morning. Pilgrims, there's a very important meeting of the Media Workers Association of Grenada scheduled for next Saturday. That's this coming Saturday, which both the public and media practitioners should turn their attention to. On the agenda will be the issues surrounding a meeting between the Minister of Information and MWAG. This week, the New Today penned an article about this, which I'd like to share with you right now. Okay? Hang on a sec. It's captioned, Press Freedom at the Crossroads. Media workers in Grenada have been called to a general meeting to be brought up to date on new rules established by the Grenada government relating to how reporters, hello, where?
Hi there, how can I help?
You can't. Thank you very much. Get lost.
You're welcome.
Okay. I don't believe this. Siri, hello Siri. Siri just showed up uninvited. Anyhow, let me start that again, okay? Media workers in Grenada have been called to a general meeting to be brought up to date on the new rules established by the Grenada government relating to how reporters are expected to conduct themselves when attending government news briefings. You heard that. In recent weeks, the Media Workers Association of Grenada, MWAG, has come under fire from the public, as well as past executive members, for its handling of incidents that have been viewed as attacks on freedom of the press. President Sherry-Ann Noel and Second Vice President Gerard Joseph met in a closed-door session last week, Tuesday, with Junior Minister with responsibility for information, Senator Winston Garraway, to discuss the current state of affairs involving members of the media. Garraway is currently under fire. Yes, sirree, just in case you didn't know that. Garraway is currently under fire after freelance and independent journalist Callistra Farrier accused him of assault. At the time, the government minister was attempting to block an interview from taking place between the journalist and Minister for Tourism, Clarice Modeste Kerwin. The journalist is said to have formally filed a complaint against Senator Garraway with the Criminal Investigation Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. During the meeting, scheduled for this coming Saturday, Noel is expected to report to members on the discussions with Senator Garraway. The association has yet to meet with Farrier, who is at the center of the most blatant attack by the Keith Mitchell-led government on the operations of a free press. The current executive of the Media Association consists mainly of government employees attached to the Ministry of Information, run by Senator Garraway, as well as public relations officers attached to government ministries. The new rules handed down by the Ministry of Information seek to ban reporters from asking questions that the government considers to be unrelated to the topic of the press conference. The rules also seek to ban members from conducting follow-up interviews after the weekly post-cabinet briefings have ended. The measures being initiated against the media appear to stem from an occasion when Prime Minister Mitchell was asked to give clarification of his marital status after months of rumors that he was no longer married to his long-standing Bajan wife, Marietta Mitchell. After this question was put to the Prime Minister, Press Secretary Philomena Robinson read a statement at a subsequent news conference in which she reprimanded the media and lectured them on conducting themselves with respect and professionalism during government news briefings. On another occasion, the press secretary also tried to block an interview between Ms. Farrier and the U.S. ambassador to St. George's and the OECS. The journalist had been asking questions about Grenada's sale of passports through the Citizenship by Investment program to people from countries listed in the U.S. State Department's 2017 report on nations which are considered to be state sponsors of terrorism. MWAG has not stated a position on the new rules, and after Saturday, members will know whether the association will go along with the orders from the Ministry of Information. The association has been silent on many issues affecting local journalists and has not acted since demanding an apology from the press secretary after her reprimand of the media, to which she is yet to respond. Among those who criticized MWAG for their lack of action in the face of attacks on the press are former association presidents Roel Titus and Michael Bascom. In a joint statement released last week, Titus and Bascom stated, and I quote, "MWAG was once a leading voice for press freedom and always stood in solidarity with colleagues at home and abroad. We therefore call on MWAG to step up its role as a watchdog body." Titus and Bascom's statement expressed concern about the state of the relationship between the government of Grenada and the Grenadian media. Quote, "As former presidents of the Media Workers Association of Grenada, MWAG, we are concerned about the deteriorating relationship between Grenada's media fraternity and the government. It appears that certain media practitioners are being targeted for carrying out their functions, in posing questions to government ministers. In recent weeks, there have been a couple of instances in which the same reporter's decision to pose questions have transformed into public confrontation. The past presidents also reminded government of its declaration to foster a free press and condemned the recent actions by the government to intimidate journalists. Quote, "Press freedom is a serious issue, and the government must be reminded that it is a signatory to the Declaration of Chapultepec, guaranteeing press freedom. The information minister himself must be front and center in setting an example for this administration. The act of publicly seeking to stop a reporter from asking an official question is a violation of press freedom. Text of a story, which was published this past week, Friday, in the New Today. All right. Let me see how you guys reacted to that. Okay. Okay, Peter Belfont says, but George, the desire to remain in one's home instead of heeding evacuation calls can be very disastrous, as seen here. People in low-lying areas, including the coastal line, should really consider their lives first. Okay, he's talking about that piece we did on the Bahamas. John says, rules are not laws. Some of these I'm just going to ignore. Arthur Langine says, my people, the government thinks they are the people's God, but let them know that they are fooling themselves. John says, GG, even you had to laugh calling Garraway's name. Yeah. Renewed Purpose says they should remember that no matter. Okay. John Wellington says, happy Sunday, Mr. George, on this wonderful program. Oh, Joan Wellington, I beg your pardon. Margaret says, excuse me, how media workers are supposed to conduct themselves? When did that? Because me governments, when did that? Because the government's purview? Is MWAG going to go along with that? I hope not. She goes on to say, I seriously hope MWAG boycotts these events. This is no longer a slippery slope. It is a sudden drop off a cliff. MWAG, I hope you're listening to that from somebody who's been there. Peter Belfont says, what? Are they getting to the Chinese version of that craved one-party state? George, puppets have no control of the strings that are pulled. John says, agreed, Margaret. Boycott such meetings, including post-cabinet ones, as propaganda is all you get. Do you think these kids have the nerve to do that? Huh? Some of them may want to, but they have to answer to their bosses. And their bosses answer to the administration. Mark my words. Been there. Ernesto says, please, media folk, don't show up to that nonsense on Saturday and take to the street against press freedom in Grenada. Peter Belfont says, the Minister of Information should rather be in an isolated office rather in the public domain. Joyce E. Smith says, they are waking up, the media. Kepling Francis says, something to think about. A foreman is charged with the responsibility to hire a manager who would be his boss and can dismiss him at will. Would that manager ever listen to any complaints lodged against that foreman? Who then is the real boss? Just hypothetical. What's the use of a governor general? All right, folks. All right. Let me see, what else? Yeah, time to get into the videos here. My dear friends, we're going to start with Mr. Allan BIERZYNSKI. Allan and I have been getting together for a couple of years now on Friday mornings. And actually on Good Day Grenada, it's been just a little over a year, going a year and a half. But before that, he used to be on other programs with me. And this guy, I am yet to come up with a proper definition for how his mind works. Seems to work over time. I wonder if he ever sleeps. And he makes some comments or remarks, stun a lot of people. And he does that without any fear whatsoever. And the reason why he has no fear is because he doesn't just jump up, mouth open, word jump out. No. He thinks before he speaks. In addition to a number of things, you're going to be learning about tin pot leaders this morning. Check out Allan and me on Thursday morning.
True Enough is the title of a book that I've come across. And it addresses selective perception. That is the tendency of people observing the same facts to arrive at different descriptions of the said facts. So, for example, a photograph has made the rounds showing Callistra Faria and the current Minister of Information. His hand is outstretched. Her hand is outstretched, holding a recording device. Now, it is a fact that the photograph exists. What is in question is to whether or not the photograph was taken after the journalist had been pushed to the ground, or whether allegedly pushed, or whether the photograph recorded the fact of the journalist attempting to rise from the ground with the recording device outstretched. Now, the theory of selective perception indicates then that while the photograph is a fact, it shows two individuals, at least, in certain fixed positions. But depending on your prejudices, no amount of information coming subsequently to you having viewed the photograph will change your perception of what the photograph shows. In other words, if you are a government supporter, it shows that there has been no contact. And what it shows is a wicked individual possessed of the devil in front of a man of God. If, on the other hand, you are not a blind faith supporter of the current administration, you may be prepared to consider the possibility that there was contact and that what you are seeing is the result of said contact. So, the only fact that we can agree on is that there is a photograph. Now, the events surrounding that fact are open to interpretation depending on your prejudices or, let us say, your biases. Every one of us brings bias to every discussion. The difficulty that we are faced with in the world today, though, is that when presented with facts, if the facts don't agree with our biases, we look for alternative facts. A very long time ago, former Vice President Al Gore published a documentary called An Inconvenient Truth. It had to do with global warming. We must be, 15 years on? And we are still talking about global warming and climate change, when in fact what we are faced with is global heating. I know that you have been following the 16 or 17-year-old activist from Sweden, Greta Thunberg, and her address to the United Nations, where she took pains to explain that she does not have a political agenda. She is not concerned with running for office. What she is saying is that the people who can make a difference are not doing it, and so that the planet continues to suffer as a result of human activity. The people who have the money and those who are looking to make more money to raise the masses of poor people into the middle class are the ones who are responsible for continuing to engage in activities which will result, unless there is a serious change, in the destruction of the planet as we know it. Climate heating, and I'm going to stop talking about climate change. Climate heating is a reality. Right now, I have put on a t-shirt because I couldn't come on to your program half naked. But let me tell you, I feeling real hot. I am perspiring. The humidity is uncomfortable. Every so often, even though we are in the hurricane season, we are in the rainy season, and during the rainy season, we expect to be in the hurricane season. Remember the hurricane season a few years ago got extended to November. It used to be when we were growing up, October all over. Now it's in November. That goes back to my recollection. I think it was in November the 18th, 1999, when we had the hurricane that went backwards, Hurricane Lenny. And we got a storm surge, which affected all the islands from St. Kitts all the way down to ourselves. I'm not sure if Trinidad was affected, with a storm surge on our leeward coastlines. The leeward coastline is the one that is sheltered from the wind and the waves, because Hurricane Lenny turned around and started moving back east, somewhere up by Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
That was in November. We're not supposed to have hurricanes in November. Now, we saw this year a most unusual occurrence, where Hurricane Dorian sat for some 36 or more hours in the same place, because its progress was prevented by a massive high-pressure system, more or less stationary over the continental United States. Now, these are facts, but different people will have different explanations if the facts don't coincide with their prejudices. So, for example, there are people who believe that because of the lifestyle of certain people in the Bahamas, or maybe it is because of the corruption of the government, or maybe it is because Sandals has a big property there, that the hurricane was sent as a punishment from the Creator. Those people believe what they believe. There are no facts which will change those beliefs. It is the same sorts of beliefs that allow tin pot dictators to do whatever they choose, regardless of what the Constitution may say, or whatever the rules and regulations of the public service may say. Because there are people who believe that tin pot dictators have been chosen by God to rule. And you will hear them use the term, so-and-so is ruling. There's a difference between governing and ruling. Governance requires an adherence to laws. Ruling requires only a belief in the divine and that your authority comes from a higher power. You cannot change the minds of those who believe by presenting them with facts. All that they need to see is that the tin pot dictator holds an office, and as far as they are concerned, that is true enough. It does not have to be completely true. It does not have to be wholly true. It only has to be true enough. And in the event that anyone listening draws the wrong conclusion, President Trump, when faced with the fact, the reality, that a whistleblower provided a transcript or an alert or a communication regarding a breach of international norms, a breach of diplomacy, an outright threat to the duly elected head of a foreign country, Trump says, in reference to a phone call, mind you, that it was a beautiful letter. And when you see the letter, you will understand. And the Congress of the United States, that is the upper house, the Senate, is comprised of Bible-thumping, God-fearing, rifle-carrying Christians who believe that Donald Trump can do no wrong, and they will continue to support that blustering orange buffoon until the end of time.
So it's not just, you're done. So it's not just here in Grenada.
I did not mention Grenada, did I? Apart from the photograph of the journalist and the Minister of Information. So don't let the fact that I mentioned Grenada in that context divert from my observations regarding tin pot dictators and that blustering orange buffoon in the United States of America.
All right. Mr. Bierzyński, over the past 15 minutes or so, you said an awful lot, and I've been making some notes here. I want to just step back for a minute to Greta Thunberg. Do you believe that this youngster is being abused by the United Nations and the proponents of climate change?
No. I believe the girl good for herself. She has a viewpoint. She is focused. She is able to communicate it. And she has no agenda other than the fact that she is 16 or 17 years old and she would hope to live a normal, useful, productive life. And she's communicating that message.
I don't have any doubt that our youngsters are becoming more conscious about climate change and the possible ill effects. But do you see any possibility there that, certain interest might overreach to a youngster like this and abuse her or misuse her?
As I said, as I said, I think she appears to be focused on what she's doing. She clearly has a platform which she will take advantage of, because while the climate science deniers populate centers of power, the people who understand the science are going to become more and more vocal. And because of the developments in communication technology, the facts will be disseminated to a wider and wider audience. The facts are not going to change the minds of those currently in power, but the facts will, I think, become more accessible and more acceptable by the next generation.
All right, now listening to you, AB, I get the feeling that you are, I don't want to say you are a proponent of climate change, but you're leaning in the direction that climate change is real. And earlier on in this little piece here, you explained that you're hot. I'm hot. I mean, anybody here in Grenada will tell.
I hope you realize you just repeated the first two sentences of Arrow's tune. I'm hot, you hot, 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 hot. You should play the music.
It's hot, baby. It's hot. But it seems to me the issue is not that it's not heating up. I mean, it's just obvious that this place is getting hotter. But it seems to me that the argument is whether or not those increases are due to man-made causes.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear, when we first started talking about the hole in the ozone layer 20 plus years ago, and conventions were signed to phase out the use of hydrocarbons. Action was taken internationally. I mean, we saw it here because there is a national ozone unit in the Ministry of Energy, I think it is, and the certain hydrocarbons used in refrigeration and air conditioning were phased out. And the satellite data shows that the expansion of the hole in the ozone layer was retarded. I don't know if in fact the hole has started becoming smaller. I'm not certain of that, because our attention has been overtaken by the facts that the Antarctic ice shelf is carving off into the South Atlantic Ocean. The facts are that glaciers all over mountain ranges are in retreat. The facts are that the ice shelf on Greenland is retreating. The facts are that there's no longer year-round sea ice up over the North Pole. And the Russians are sending icebreakers through the Northwest Passage, which was previously navigable only during a few months in summer, because they are now going to be exploring for hydrocarbon resources in the frozen north, in Siberia. And if they can navigate across the North Pole year-round, it's great for them. Not so great for us.
You know, AB, one of the things that makes this so difficult is that it's hard to believe what you're hearing, because so many people, especially our governments, have lied to us over and over and over again. Yesterday morning, I came across something on my smartphone, a video which was suggesting that this climate change thing is all a hoax and that the proponents are using false data to get people to buy into climate change. One of the things they pointed out was that there's an island in the Pacific which had been shrinking in size as a result of rising sea levels. And the people who put out this particular video went on to allegedly produce evidence to the contrary. Amy, I wanted to pull out that clip and run it on the program this morning. Would you believe I spent about 4 hours yesterday afternoon trying to find the clip? I mean, I couldn't download it on my smartphone. I wanted to get it down on my desktop here. And not for the life of me could I find that damn clip. You know?
What happened to it?
It just disappeared. I've been searching YouTube. I have been searching Facebook. Can't find the damn thing. But listen, if I find some time today, I'm going after it again because it was a very, very interesting piece. They are refuting all the data that has been put out by these governments and authorities supporting climate change.
Well, I don't know, but probably 5 or 6 years ago, it was pointed out to me by the manager of a property in the Wester Hall area, in the sheltered harbor there. And the manager of that property was pointing out to me that they had seen over the 5 years or whatever it is, that a jetty that was there had become almost submerged because of rising sea levels.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one indication. The other thing is that people who promote the hoax theories, the conspiracy theories, remember, facts are irrelevant to them. Whatever is an inconvenient truth, they will amend the facts to suit. So, for example, there is a view that the Americans never actually landed on the moon.
Yes, I've heard that one.
You know this?
Yes.
Good. So there are people who, and they will tell you that they have scientific proof. So it means that their facts are alternate facts. And frankly, there's little point in arguing with them. Every one of these conspiracy theories has either some part of objective reality far back in history, or there is something recently that they can twist to their own ends. So, for example, it is a historical fact that medical experiments were carried out in the 1930s in Tuskegee and wherever Tuskegee is, Alabama or Mississippi, with regard to monitoring the effects of syphilis among a vulnerable population. The historical fact that that took place has been quoted by conspiracy theorists who just recently were telling people not to go on the visiting U.S. naval ship because they were going to take their blood, or they were going to give them AIDS, or all sorts of interesting theories. Well, those people are entitled, but the 4,000 plus people who received attention, that 4,000 I heard on the radio, so I'm not vouching for the figure. I don't know. But it was put out that some 4,000 people received medical attention. So we can look to them and see if they end up with AIDS or syphilis or whatever it is.
Okay, but okay, Amy, you have a point. You have a point, but I want you to try and justify this for me. It's hard to believe the authorities. You know, the conspiracy theorists are saying that the authorities are lying. Right, that's fine. But Amy, look at what's happening right here in Grenada. Simple case. We are told our economy is booming. Booming. And people on the street catching their oil. How can you...
Yes.
That's just
remember,
one example.
let's go back. there are lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Statistics.
So if you look at statistics, the statistics show that construction was in fact booming. So you've got a couple of hotels under construction. When the construction is finished, the people who are working on those hotels have to get at the bush in work.
Okay, that's your rationale. All right, Mr. Bishop. Yes, it's a statistic. It's a statistic. Mr. B.
Oh, talking about that. Even the statistics can be suspect depending on the origin of those statistics. So, for example, the Royal Grenada Police Force put out statistics saying that we had 27,000 visitors to Grenada over the carnival season. The Grenada Tourism Authority says that in fact we had 13,000 visitors.
15% less.
No. What are you talking about? 13,000 as opposed to 27,000.
Yeah.
50% less.
50%, yeah.
But hold on. Oh, I thought you said 15. 50% less. But you see, I prefer to look at the statistics, which would indicate that the Royal Grenada Police Force found that there were 100% more visitors. That is what you call booming.
Booming, man. All right. AB, listen, man, listen. It's been a very interesting morning, and I want to apologize to our viewers and listeners because, yes, I confess, this morning I have paid very little attention to what you folks have been posting, simply because I really wanted to get that climate change issue in and then hear what Allan had to say. But here's a good way to wrap up this morning's program. There are 3 posts that have just come in, and I'm going to share them with you, AB, and then I'll let you go. Renewed Purpose says, AB, it is a fact that the Americans never landed on the moon. Wait a minute, please, sir. Do some digging, and you will see all the flaws in the video showing the landing. In one of James Bond's movies, they exposed the lies. So says Renewed Purpose. John Nosyneck says, Renewed Purpose, download the film Capricorn 1. It makes you think. Make a note of that, AB. Go and download the film.
No, I don't have to. I saw Capricorn 1 in London when it came out.
Okay.
With James Brolin. Great film.
All right. Anthony Arello sums it up. She says, and political propaganda. Renewed Purpose comes back and says, even the space shuttle that exploded in the 90s, do you know that people have seen all of these people who supposedly died in that space shuttle explosion? Yes,
Sally Ann Ride.
yes.
Sally Ann Ride was the teacher astronaut who was on board that. It was in 1985, I think.
Okay.
The Challenger disaster.
Renewed Purpose.
I don't know how I retain all of this trivia is beyond me.
Because you're retired. You got a lot of time on your hands, man.
Let's dig it out.
Renewed Purpose, take a look at your screen. That gentleman you're looking at there, the one next to me, that's one of the people who was on that space shuttle. Ryan Jabon says, climate change is, if humans don't reduce their carbon footprint, we are in for more dangerous climate experiences. USA Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in their Negro males is demonic. Okay, AB, I'm gonna let you get out of I'm hot in here. I've got the air conditioning turned off. It's making some noise. So thank you very much, sir. You have a great day.
Okay.
All right.
Have a great day too. Okay.
All right. Mr. Allan BIERZYNSKI there. Wow. You know, I just knew that Allan would get you guys wound up this morning. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. A lot of comments came in. Peter Belfont says, Francis Urias Peters should have been contacted based on his playwright skills for his input and interpretation of the photo as seen. He's talking about the media incident. But for certain, Garraway's outstretched hand was not for assistance to raise Callistra off the ground. Interesting point. Ernesto says, in the United States, freedom of the press is very important. And when we're hearing about a meeting on how journalists should conduct themselves at news conferences and briefings, Grenada, you are run by a dictatorship administration. Also remember, Grenada, history repeats itself. Lydia James is reminding Allen that there was a hurricane in February one year. Peter Belfont also says here, what is unique about Mr. Bierzyński is that he carefully speaks, and when there is humor, he has that professional niche, not to laugh, but leaves the laughing to his audience. But he is good. Ryan says, absolute monarchy, paradigm of the tin pot ruler. I knew that caption would get to a lot of you people. The tin pot, actually I think he said tin pot dictator. Now, Nicole Gittins Kishinema says, a breath of fresh air, so thought-provoking. I'm adding tin pot ruler to my repertoire. Yeah. Dogo day. Yeah. John, there's one for you. Ryan Jaban says, I like the youngster, Amy, talking about Greta Thunberg. He says, I like the youngster, Amy. She tells them bluntly at the UN that while the planet is dying, all you politicians can talk about is money. Yeah. He also says, indeed, Amy, we have to diminish our carbon footprint. Yeah, okay. Floyd Nichols is asking Allen, why do you always use Trump as a point of reference when there are better examples in Grenada? For example, the PM. Margaret Francis says, there will always be naysayers when it comes to things like climate change. The fact is that young people have always been at the forefront of social movements. The anti-apartheid movement was a prime example of youth in action. We need to give young people credit. Absolutely, Max. Bob Marichaux says, Allen is truly Grenada's #1 satirist. He uses, his use of irony, humor, and ridicule makes him stand out as an independent thinker. His iconoclastic character called Allen would not do well in politics, but will be welcomed on my board of directors, as I can depend on him for lots of contrasting opinions. Tessa Berry, whom I heard from earlier this morning, she's in Jamaica today. Tessa says, good morning, George. The Global Forum for Rural Advocacy Services, Extension, is holding its annual meeting in Jamaica this year. The theme for this year is the role of rural advisory services in climate change and disaster risk management. I'm happy to report that a Grenadian farmer, in the person of Mr. Devon George, will be speaking from his experience as a farmer. I have also been invited to act as one of the moderators for the meeting. Congrats, Des. So 2 Grenadians are involved in discussions on climate change and disaster risk management. Go for it, girl. Joan Wellington says, the government lies, but the people have to listen to news worldwide so we can be wise to make proper decisions. Peter Belfont responds to Robert Marichal here by saying, Bob Marichal, this is a nice way you have described the gentleman, and I agree. Talking about Allen. Sean Notap says, climate change may be a question. Weather change is of no doubt. But so what if Greta is wrong? It's Greta Thunberg. We made the world a better place for nothing. Great. But climate change is a fact, not a belief. So says Sean. Margaret says, maybe the clip doesn't exist, talking about the fact that there's a clip that I saw and it suddenly disappeared. She says, maybe the clip doesn't exist and was designed to do just that, create doubt. Allen is quite right about conspiracy theorists and the little use in arguing with them. Yeah. And Ryan says here, the Earth is in a constant state of climate change. By the way, we've also been joined by Philbert Lewis. Hi there, Philbert. Good to see you, sir. And Anthony Humble Hutchinson. Ryan is telling Allen, he says, Allen, you can shape statistics to prove anything. Ain't that the truth, Ryan? John Nosenex says, the visitors' numbers would also suggest that every hotel room was occupied. It's talking about the fact that the Royal Grenada Police Force put out some statistics on the number of visitors over the carnival, which just about doubled the figures put out by the Grenada Tourism Authority. Hi, Nesta. Nesta is joining us this morning. John says, read the tin pot ruler. Working on it, yeah. Pretty soon you'll see a new mug out there, the tin pot ruler. And finally, Peter Belfont says, the Pol Pot regime in Afghanistan. Remember this in the 80s? Dictators are found in geographical locations across the globe, including Grenada. Folks, we're starting to run out of time, big time, big time, big time. So I'll tell you what, rather than take a commercial break, because I really want to try and squeeze a little humor in before we wrap it up, but we got one more serious piece for you. I want you to check this out. This was done on Friday morning, a little conversation that I had with my buddy, Mr. Brian Pitt. Brian talked about everything. He talked about the fact that everything Grenada is politicized. He talked about the fake doctorate. He talked about is India seeking friendships with the money we heard this week is being given to CARICOM member states. And also the fact that no response from the Governor General to a letter from the opposition, which was requesting that an investigation be done into cell phone gate. Check this out. Time for our Friday morning pit stop. Let's say good morning to Mr. Brian Pitt. And how are you, sir?
Good morning, George. Could you hear me?
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Fantastic, fantastic. I hope we don't have any interruptions this morning.
Well, you know, we did a program last night and we did one yesterday morning and both worked pretty fine. So I'm assuming, for all intents and purposes, that everything's going to be fine this morning.
Maybe the key players are at the United Nations, George.
You had to bring up the United Nations, which is so ironic, because there's a note here from Anthony DeRiggs. He just said government representatives are in New York attending United Nations meetings. Anyone knows if any meeting is scheduled with the Grenadian Nationals in New York? John responds by saying, Anthony DeRiggs, party members only. I don't know if that's true. And Ryan Jabon says, they always contact their base in Brooklyn. And Anthony comes back and says, I'm referring to the town hall type that was previously held in locations like Medgar Evers Park, College. Anyhow, let's forget about the United Nations and the folks in New York.
But maybe that's a good place to start, George. Maybe that's a good place to start, because a bus went over the carnage recently, a bus, and the police department rewarded some folks for helping to save lives by jumping into the water, etc., right, George?
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of young people involved in that process. And I do not believe that in the process of helping people to get out of that bus, anybody asked the question whether you are green or yellow or NNP or NDC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We jumped in the water and we helped. And I think the mere fact that the police or somebody suggested that we reward these people was a good gesture, because maybe we can help each other without having bias or favor to who we are politically. And maybe it might encourage some voluntarism from our young people. George, what do you think?
Brian, I'm an eternal optimist. And I was so impressed with what I saw this week. Do you think for 1 minute, Brian, that we may, just maybe, at a turning point?
George, there are little signals here and there that not everybody wear their pants below their waist or depend on politicians for favors or contracts, etc., etc. There are signs. I tell you, let me mention this at this stage, George. A young person said to me this week, after following the news, and in the news there was an article that the sailors from the Comfort, that U.S. ship that was here helping us with our health, fixed the oxygen machine at the hospital. It took them a couple of days to fix this machine, George. And my understanding that that machine was not working for a few years.
2 years.
And the person asked me the question, Mr. People in charge of the hospital, you mean they couldn't fix this thing for 2 years? And these guys came here in a couple of days, they got it fixed.
Yeah.
And the person went on to say to me, but I thought we're supposed to be reducing waste. I wonder what it cost us for the 2 years that this machine was down and we had to buy gas from Trinidad.
Including lives.
And that same young person, George, whispered in my ear. But I also recognized that there were pictures of the Prime Minister and some other members of the Grenada delegation to the United Nations being awarded for varying things. And in a photo op, I wonder if they realize which is more important to me, that photo op or getting the oxygen fixed at the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have hope, George.
You know, Brian, one of the things I heard this week that kind of made me uneasy, the Minister of Health was talking about the fact that, you know, things are going to get better at the hospital because they're hiring a number of people to help in various areas. And these people are going to be trained and so on and so forth. And then he mentioned Imanis. You know, Brian, with the hospital in the shape that it is right now, can you imagine putting Imanis in there? I mean, I'm not saying that all Imanis aren't worth it, but I mean, you listen, Brian, to some of the people who are answering the government telephones when you phone government offices nowadays. These people haven't got a clue what time of day it is. And I'm wondering whether or not they're going to just start dumping Imanis here, dumping Imanis there, without real proper training, and set them loose.
George, you're talking, and I'm thinking to myself, why did she say Imanis? Why did somebody say wardens when they're referring to jobs? Why couldn't she say young healthcare enthusiasts, young people who are involved in furthering a career in health matters, nurses, etc.? Why say Imanis?
Yeah.
Why do we have to politicize everything?
Yeah, that's the way it is.
Yeah, I'm listening to you, George, and I'm saying to myself, well, why does she have to say Imanis?
Yeah.
Doesn't she realize that there's a negative connotation when you use that word, as far as some employers are concerned in Grenada? A lot of employers who continue to have Imanis on their staff, I understand, are only doing that because it's a subsidy to their wage bill, George.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
scary.
Lord.
Brian, before we move off the oxygen thing, Arthur Langine says here, I know that too well when I call the GIS. He's talking about, you know, the way the phone is answered, and very well known. John Newsonek says, photo ops are pure ego massaging exercises. Somebody agrees with you. Anthony DeRigg says, good point, Mr. Pitt. When disasters occur, Grenadians come together regardless of party affiliation. Even on Carnival Day, no one stops to ask who is NNP or NDC. They jump up side by side.
Yep.
Yeah. And John Bruno is asking here, we have to ask who was in charge of procuring the oxygen? Any answer to that?
That's an interesting question, because maybe somebody benefited from the machines not being in operation. And let's not mince words.
Yeah.
That could be a crucial factor. And you know, George, that person having said that, the whole fiasco needed an investigation.
Yeah.
Why was this machine down for so long, and did anybody benefit from it being down for so long?
Do me one favor, please. Stop using the word investigation. The next time I hear investigation, I'm just going to get so sick. Because
okay, George. Okay.
The thing is, I'm going to bring up something about another investigation in just a wee bit. But Ryan says, inertia is the order of the day in Grenadian affairs, unless the state is changed by an external force. You want to bring Trump in here?
Oh, Lord, help us. No. I saw this caption on the internet, and it went something like this, George. If you elect a clown, you will have a circus.
If you what?
If you elect a clown,
yeah,
you will have a circus.
Yeah.
And this person was talking about the election in the United States.
Yeah. Brian, that's one you could mention on the air. I have seen some that I wouldn't even venture near to.
Yeah, I know.
All right, sir, let me move along here. And now, the National Democratic Congress put out their usual weekly heartbeat piece this week. And they were bemoaning the fact that, I think it was back in July 22nd, they wrote to the Governor General asking that an investigation be carried out into the Cellgate affair. Well, they have not even had the courtesy of an acknowledgement. What say you, Brian? I mean, the Governor General, this wasn't a letter to Brian Pitt or George Grant. This was a letter to the Governor General, who has the power to launch an investigation.
I am thinking, George, that some of us inadvertently become enablers The Governor General was appointed, yes, and if this is true, I think it's a stain on the office of the Governor Generalship, if it is true. Yes, the Governor General was appointed by the administration in power, but there are certain protocols that goes along with an office. If somebody writes you a letter, you will acknowledge. I think this is something that we learned in school, George. We also learned in school that when you're having a meeting, you have to have an agenda. And there is a certain form that agenda takes, including any other business. I don't know that very many organizations these days have an agenda when they have a meeting. And I say all of this, George, to say there are traditional protocols that you receive a letter, you at least acknowledge it.
Especially from an office that high.
Especially from the highest office in the land.
Yeah.
Unless she did not receive the letter. Now, if this is now in the public domain and she did not receive the letter, then I guess what she should do is try to find out from her staff why she did not see the letter, and then report to us. Notice I'm not using the word investigation, George. And report to us.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And report to us, George, where the shortfall came about. That would be the honest and professional thing to do. And I still will hold my breath that that will happen, knowing the person who occupies the highest office in the land and knowing her for a long time. I still believe that she would make it good of why she did not respond.
Okay, that, you know, it may also be said that, well, an investigation into the matter was done. And I mean, we understand that the government did say that the people who were guilty of abusing the phone services that they were provided with will be made to pay back.
George, a letter was written to an office, and the person holding that office should acknowledge that letter.
Yeah.
That is protocol. If there's a breakdown in protocol, that goes further to the breakdown in the society. We have our young people looking at us. Will they now conclude that it's not important to acknowledge a letter?
Yeah.
I think if most of those people go into the private sector right now and they're into management and they receive a letter, they will acknowledge it. If they don't, their bosses might fire them. George.
You know, when you draw parallels here, by not answering, the Governor General, assuming that she did not receive the letter, or assuming that she did receive the letter, the Governor General is simply refusing to answer a question. But that seems to be a big trend nowadays. We have, you had the Prime Minister being asked sometime recently about his marital status. He refused to answer. You had a reporter trying to ask the ambassador to the United States, the United States ambassador to the OECS a question. The press secretary tried to stop that person from asking questions. You had a reporter trying to ask questions about the state of the police services, and I think it's St. Patrick or wherever it is. And she was prevented from asking the question. So it seems like no questions ought to be answered to this country. Scary, Brian.
I hope it is not a conclusion by the present administration and those people it has appointed, that the mere fact that they have won 15 seats 3 times makes them rulers of Grenada. I hope that is not the case, because there might be a sorry side at the other end of that. You know, nothing is forever, George.
Absolutely.
And what we are doing is setting up a precedent that might follow us that we would not like. You know, there's a lot of conversation about the hospital, and I'm not going to join that conversation, but it might be interesting, you know, if some people who are objecting to the health care and how it's delivered at the hospital would go back and get some of the placards that the NNP used in demonstrating against the NDC when they were in power. The same placards, and walk around town with them. The thing that is obvious, George, the politicians these days don't seem to have any sense of morality. They don't care about anything other than staying in power and enjoying what a former minister of government termed the nice life. Because to be in power, by this man's description, power is a nice thing. Yes, George?
Scary, Mr. Pitt. Scary, Mr. Pitt.
Very scary, very scary. And what's even more scary, George? I understand by reading the media, the social media again, that the Indian government has now decided to give monies to the Caribbean states. And it's instructive to note that this is happening after their, I wouldn't want to say invasion, but occupation of Kashmir and the problems that has caused with Pakistan. And I ask myself the question, are the Indian government, and there are some problems within India and religious freedoms, trying to get friends to side with her on this Kashmir issue? And have we considered what the consequences of this could be over time?
So ironically, you should mention that. When I heard about this handout that was coming to the Caribbean governments, I thought to myself, buying votes in some form or another. Sounds like that, doesn't it?
Yes, George. And that could be very dangerous, because as I understand it, there are a reasonable amount of Pakistanis who now carry Grenadian passports through the CBI program, George. I don't know that for a fact, because we don't know who are the people carrying Grenadian passports right now. But I understand that a reasonable amount of Pakistanis from well-to-do families are now carrying Grenadian passports.
Yeah, heard that. Yeah.
You better be careful, George, because there are strings attached these days to almost everything.
Yeah. Mr. Pitt, before we go, sir, I saved the best for last, the fake doctorate.
George, you know what's so interesting about this whole doctorate? And notice it isn't a PhD, it's a doctorate. So there's a distinction between a PhD and a doctorate.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can buy on the internet, you know. You know, and all you do is press a button, George. Or you can just press a like button. And if you are one of the people that like this particular organization, they can reward you for the like.
Yeah.
You know, if anybody gave me an honorary doctorate, George, I don't know that I would be wearing it on my sleeves.
Yeah. Yeah.
It tells me some people never thought they would get here.
Yeah.
Suffering from a thing called never thought.
You ever heard the term never see, come see?
Yes. But, you know, some people are proud to have that distinction of being called doctor.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
I don't know that it's impressing our young people, you know, especially those who are studying very hard through the process of education to earn a PhD.
Yeah. Fortunately.
That's all I would say on that matter, George.
You know, the editorial from the New Today deals with this issue this weekend, and they've written a very stinging editorial. It should be on the streets by now. And just in case you don't pick up a paper, I'm going to be reading that on Sunday morning's edition of Sundays with George Grant, so be sure to check that out.
I'll pick up some newspapers in the morning.
Please do. Thanks a lot,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pitt.
Thank you, George. Have a great weekend.
Enlightening as always.
And believe it or not, next week is October. You know, it's Christmas around the corner, George.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And hey, next month we have another holiday coming up.
Oh, yes, the 25th.
25th.
It's still the 25th, but it's not the 19th as yet, is it?
I haven't heard any different.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, BB.
Okay, George, take care.
Take care. Mr. Brian Pitt with his usual Friday morning jaunt here on Good Day, Grenada. Thank you. Always very enlightening. Alrighty, folks, there you have it. There you have it. Now, it's 1 minute after 12 o'clock. And, you know, we've had a pretty hectic morning. We've had a lot of serious stuff going on here this morning. And I know that we're out of time, eh? But I'll tell you what. I just feel that I must share a little humor with you to wrap it up. Take the load off your shoulder. You carried a lot of weight this morning, so please, let's have a little chuckle here this morning. And it's gonna come from a guy named Daniel Loveless, young Trinidadian comedian. Check this out.
Hey Canada, it's your boy Daniel, and we are out here in the streets of Toronto here today, and we come out to ask this simple question that we ask around the world. What you know? We just want to know what you know. If you know anything you know, you may know, I may not know, but we just want to know what you know. Let me go. What is the simple past tense of go?
Wait, what?
What is the simple past tense of go?
I don't know.
Come on, try.
Backwards? Wait, did you say what?
Yeah, what is the simple past tense of go?
Stop. I don't know.
Define the word evaporation for me.
Define it? Basically when water vapor goes from its liquid state into a gaseous state.
Good job, man. My name is Daniel.
Daniel, nice to meet you.
Man, nice to meet you as well, man. So we travel the world doing this show called What You Know, promoting education through entertainment. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. Yeah, I think everyone should be educated.
Which part of your body is your uterus located?
Somebody come and look at this. Look at this.
Hey, can I guess two things?
Yeah.
So guess number one is it's gonna be in this vicinity over here.
Right.
Around here.
Maybe, yeah.
And then guess number two is if that's wrong, men don't have uterus.
Okay, so what is your final guess? Where is your uterus located? Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna say right here, like kind of by the bladder.
Like direct.
Bladder.
Yeah. All right. No. What is the simple past tense of go?
Go. Stop.
Hit the brake.
Past tense goes. Go. Okay, I'm kind of high right now.
Smoke weed every day.
So like.
I mean,
It's like-
it's illegal over here after all. Can you tell me what is 100% of 5,000?
Yeah, I can't answer that. Come on, try. 5%? 5?
That's really impressive. Whoa, just whoa. Bravo. Wow.
So 50% of 5,000 is 2,500.
Right.
Wait, 10% of 5,000 is 5,000. Sorry. 10%. So Read the question. Roll back again.
What is 100% of 5,000?
100%? I don't know.
Okay. So, so you put me on the spot. So 1,000 would be 24. So 2,000. 2,500 is 5,000, right?
You go up there again, go so, then you go over there, there's a house, and then after you pass the house, then you go like this.
So what's... Man, you put me in a spot like this on math. I'm not good at mental math. I got a degree in chemistry.
What are the 3 states of water?
3 states of water?
There is ocean. There's ocean? Huh? Ocean? Nah, I don't think so.
There's a lake, an ocean, and a river. 3 states of water.
Is it?
3 states of water: ocean, lake, and river.
Spell the word literature for me. What word? What do you call words with the same sound but different meaning?
Words with the same song?
Sound but different meaning.
Oh, is it a synonym? I should know that. No. Oh my gosh, same sound but different meaning. It's not a synonym? Oh my gosh, synonym? I should know this. I'm a journalist. This is embarrassing.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay. I'm blanking.
That's okay. This show is all about education through entertainment. Great. It's called a homonym.
I knew that. I'm so... Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you. I mean, you didn't get all my questions correct, but what did you learn today?
I was reminded of the word homonym, which I actually knew, but completely forgot. Thank you, though, for that.
No problem. So it's a homonym. Correct. Give me a high five. Good job. Who's the Prime Minister of Canada?
Trudeau.
All right. What's his first name?
I don't know.
Try. It's better to try and fail than to not try at all. Who's the Prime Minister of Canada?
Oh my god, I'm having a brain fart. I know it's Trudeau.
Right. And his first name is?
I have no idea. I'm having a brain fart.
But this show is all about education through entertainment. His first name is Justin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you didn't know that?
No.
Well, if you didn't know, now you know. Give me a word that begins and ends with the letter E.
Blue. Oh, that ends in E. Starts with E and ends in E. Yo, what starts with E and ends in E? For what is it?
Give me a word. Give me a word that starts and ends with the letter E.
Help me, nigga.
I would finish with the E.
Nah,
Try. Come on.
Litin?
No. No. He wasn't ready.
Nah, 18. E.
9.
E center. Starts with E, ends in E.
But that's the one word.
Nah, yeah, it is.
Right.
E center.
The CN Tower, where did it get its name from?
Oh my gosh, I actually did know this at one point. I can't remember now.
All right. We see, this show is all about education through entertainment. So I want to make sure that you go away learning something here today. The CN Tower got its name from the Canadian National Railway Company that built the CN Tower. So if you didn't know,
I looked it up like last year, so I knew, but I didn't retain the knowledge, I guess.
No problem, man. We had the opportunity to learn it right here today on What You Know. What is 100% of 5,544?
This is a math question? Yeah, I don't know, sorry.
Can you spell the word literature for me?
Literature.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave you with a Tim Hortons gift card here. So you can go get yourself some goodies. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Can you define the word evaporation for me?
Evaporation. When two particles combine together, separate or evaporate or transition into out.
Okay, let me ask, did you understand what she said at first? Okay, cool, because I was sitting there going,
Like let's say a room is full of let's say incense.
Okay.
And you open the door, you let it evaporate.
You stretched the hell out of it. Good job. Good job. I'm not even going to answer that. That's just silly.
What is 1/4 of 1,000?
1/4 of 1,000? Oh my God, you give me in math? I don't even know the math. I'm just gonna guess.
Try.
As 1/4 of
1,000.
Of 1,000? I'm gonna say 250.
Yeah, that is correct. Who is the current Prime Minister of Canada?
Justin
Bieber? Justin Bieber?
oh my God!
Last name is a bit something.
Trudeau.
Yes, Trudeau.
What is the simple past tense of go?
Went.
Gone.
Went.
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 Yeah, it's went. That's correct, man. I'm gonna give you a gift card from Home Depot. Yeah, man, so you can go get some stuff for the home.
Okay.
Any positive words you guys would like to share?
Thank you very much for.
Thank you very much. We enjoyed it.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty, folks, that's gonna do it for us on this, the 29th day, final Sunday of September 2019. Let me say thank you so much for joining us this morning. I really do appreciate it. I certainly hope you have a wonderful week coming up. We'll be here tomorrow morning starting at 9 o'clock and every weekday morning for Good Day Grenada. And once again, thank you so much for your patronage. Have a great Sunday afternoon, and may the good Lord bless and keep you by His grace. We'll see you tomorrow morning. So long.